This patch did not end up where I thought it would end up. Hey everyone, Nathan here and welcome back. I wasn't even sure if I was going to make this video. The idea felt too simple or maybe even just too silly, but when HL Norris asked about this on the Plinky Discord, I couldn't resist trying it out for myself. And as I explored the idea further, I actually had a lot of fun with it, and now I'm kind of excited to share it. What HL Norris asked was essentially if it was possible to have one or two pads on the Plinky that would activate in upwards or downwards trill, respectively. At first, I thought this wouldn't be possible, or at least not practical, but then I got an idea. The spontaneous answer I gave on the Discord wasn't quite right, but once I sat down with my Plinky Plus, it actually came together pretty quickly. And as you heard from the intro, I didn't stop at trills. If you're a bit rusty on your music terminology, here's a quick refresher on trills. A trill is a kind of embellishment or ornamentation of a note where you rapidly alternate between the main pitch and an adjacent pitch, which is usually a semitone or a whole tone higher or lower. Now that we're all caught up, grab your Plinky or your Plinky Plus and let's make some trills. And space lasers. So I found a really nice spot on the wavetable for this patch. For the curious, it's set to 19.3. Now, when thinking about making trills, of course, my first thought was to patch a square wave to the degree parameter. This parameter transposes the notes while staying within the chosen scale. This is nice because our trills will always be in the right key. So let's just go ahead and patch degree to LFO-X, and we're just going to give that a little bit of modulation. Let's just leave it there for now. And then we want to set the shape of LFO-X to a square wave. Now make sure you choose square wave and not the bipolar square because we want the trill only going in one direction at a time. And now let's give LFO some depth and let's hear our trill. Ooh. Okay, this is not quite right, but we are on the right track. First, let's kind of tune the modulation. Actually, we're just going to tune the depth. So we're just getting a whole step above the main note. We're almost there. Let's tune now just our CV level, our modulation level. There we go. All right, this is the right interval, but it's moving a little bit too slow for a trill. So I'm going to adjust the rate of LFO-X until we get a nice trill. Yeah, okay, this is better, but in the end, I don't want it to just trill all the time, and I don't want to have to go into the parameters to turn this on and off. We need some convenient control over the trill activation. I'm going to use knob B for this and patch it directly to the depth of LFO-X. First, let's put LFO-X back to 0. Then we're going to patch this knob to LFO-X, and let's just leave it somewhere around 50 for now. The great thing about this patch point is the knobs are actually bipolar. So having the knob at 12 o'clock, or for me it's a bit left of 12 o'clock, means the LFO has no depth. It's basically turned off. If I turn it clockwise, we'll get a positive square wave and an upwards trill. And if we turn it counterclockwise, we'll get a negative square wave and a downwards trill. Let's try that. So this is already kind of neat, and I think I've fulfilled the challenge of on-demand trills, but as I was messing around with this, I felt like I could do better. For one thing, trills are usually quite expressive and won't always be the exact same speed, so let's give ourselves a little more control over the trill speed by patching the rate of LFO-X, which is our square wave, to knob A. We'll probably just be using faster speeds for this, so I'm going to set the modulation to 50. And also set the base rate of LFO-X to 50. Then knob A will give us a range of 0 to 100 for the rate parameter. All right, let's hear this starting at the slowest speed. We'll activate our trill. Ooh, listen to that. The LFOs can get up to low range audio rate, so our trill has now turned into an FM operator, and now you know the rabbit hole I fell into with this patch. If all you were looking for were trills, that topic is settled. Now let's have some fun with this. First, I'm going to increase the range of knob B. Even now, if I turn it too far, whoops, let's go back to a slower speed. Even now, if I turn it too far, I get larger intervals. And we're in tremolo territory. A tremolo is similar to a trill, but instead of alternating to an adjacent note, you're either rapidly repeating the same note or rapidly alternating between the main note and another note with a larger interval. So let's go all in with the modulation to knob B. So we're going to go again to the LFO-X depth. We're going to go to B, and let's put it all the way up to 100. All right, now in addition to trills, we can get different tremolo intervals using knob B. In fact, I think we can go even further here. If we increase the modulation to degree, let's go all the way up with that on degree. That's really wild. Maybe a little bit too wild. I'm going to go a little bit down with that just for fun here. And now if we go way back up with the rate, we get this really wacky FM sound. This patch did not end up where I thought it would end up. All right, we've gone so far away from trills here, but I feel like I'm beyond the point of no return and we are firmly in space laser territory. I've got one more idea for this patch, and it's a trick I used for one of my generative Plinky in nature jams. First, we're going to turn the delay send all the way up, and then we're going to make the delay time super, super short, but not quite the shortest value. So let's turn delay all the way up, and we're going to put this delay time all the way down, let's say to like, I don't know, 5. Now I'm going to patch the delay time to LFO-Y, which we haven't used yet. We're just going to give this a tiny, tiny bit of modulation. I want the LFO to modulate the delay time, but stay within a very narrow zone. Let's give LFO-Y some depth. And let's see what we've got. Ooh, I'm going to turn the trill off so you can hear really what's going on here. Now let's turn the trills up. Yeah, you can hear that tape delay wobbling around with LFO-Y and that very, very fast delay time. Yes. Now this is a proper space laser. So I'm going to change LFO-Y's shape to smooth random. You know I love that. And we're going to put the rate a little bit up here so we get something a little bit more wild even. All right, folks, I'm not really sure what this is or what I or anyone else will use it for, but I really like it. There's lots to explore by adjusting the knobs and actually a pretty wide range of sounds that are possible. Just be careful not to point your space laser in anyone's eyes. If you're interested in this preset, it's available to members of my Ko-Fi page, along with Plinky Ready samples and early access to future videos. I really appreciate your support. I'll close us out with what will probably be a kind of bizarre jam. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy plinking.